Have we truly become the land of what-ifs, Leafs Nation? Are we destined to perpetually chase the ghost of untapped potential? Trading one tantalizing prospect for another in an endless cycle of hopeful speculation? Just when we thought the focus was solely on established top six forwards, a new whisper emerges from the hockey grapevine, suggesting the Toronto Maple Leafs might be eyeing a former first-round pick, a player with undeniable flashes of brilliance. Yet shadowed by the very consistency issues that plague some of our own, it's a narrative that feels all too familiar. A storyline etched into the very fabric of this franchise, the pursuit of that elusive, game-changing talent often found, lurking in the shadows of another team's unfulfilled promise. The Toronto Maple Leafs, perpetually on the hunt for added depth and future stars, are currently navigating a tightrope walk of salary cap constraints and roster space. Now, until a significant move is made, their hands are somewhat tied. Yet the latest buzz suggests a fascinating, almost poetic, solution could be on the horizon. A 1-for-1 swap that sees one young, inconsistent talent traded for another. The player in question? Fabian Lysel, a former first-round selection of our arch-rivals, the Boston Bruins. Reports are circulating, gaining traction that the Bruins might be on the verge of giving up on Lysel, potentially looking to move him for a change of scenery. This isn't just idle chatter. There's a growing sentiment that Boston has some genuine concerns about his early development, particularly his struggles with consistency and whether he truly fits their long-term vision in Beantown. Rumors even suggest the Bruins have already offered Lysel in a trade to teams like Edmonton. So why would the Boston Bruins, a team known for its shrewd player development, consider parting ways with a young, talented prospect they invested a first-round pick in? The answer lies in the very nature of prospect development and the cold, hard realities of the NHL. Lysel's value, while perhaps not at its peak, is still relatively high. Teams across the league recognize the raw skill and offensive upside he possesses. This makes him one of Boston's few truly valuable young assets that could headline a trade package. He spent the majority of his time with their AL affiliate in Providence, where we've seen those tantalizing flashes, moments, where you absolutely understand why he was a first-round pick, showcasing elite puck handling, vision, and offensive creativity. Yet, those flashes haven't translated into consistent dominance. He's been described as streaky, with his compete level sometimes questioned, and his overall consistency remaining a significant hurdle for a team like Boston looking to maximize their assets and perhaps address immediate needs. Moving a high-ceiling but higher-risk prospect makes a certain kind of sense. This brings us to the intriguing proposition. Could the Maple Leafs and Bruins, two teams whose rivalry runs deeper than the ice itself, actually engage in a 1-for-1 swap involving these two enigmatic young forwards? The proposed trade involves the Maple Leafs sending Nick Robertson to Boston in exchange for Fabian Lysel. On the surface, it's a trade of similar archetypes, highly skilled, offensive-minded wingers who have struggled with consistency and cementing a regular NHL spot. Let's delve into the comparison. Nick Robertson, for all his flashes of brilliance and his undeniable shot, has also battled injuries and struggled to find a consistent role within the Leafs lineup. He's had moments, certainly, where he's looked like a legitimate NHL scorer, but those moments have been interspersed with periods of invisibility or time spent in the AL. The argument for Robertson is that he has, at least, established himself to some degree at the NHL level, albeit in a limited capacity. He's shown he can play, albeit inconsistently, and a change of scenery could unlock his full potential, potentially allowing him to play significant minutes in Boston. Lysel, however, presents a different set of challenges. While he possesses immense skill, his consistency issues are reportedly already surfacing in his very limited NHL career, just 12 games. This means the Leafs would be acquiring a player whose problems are, in some ways, even more pronounced. At this early stage, it's a gamble, no doubt. But here's where the Craig Berube factor enters the equation. If there's anyone who can instill focus, discipline, and a more complete away game into a young, inconsistent talent, it's the Maple Leafs' new head coach. Berube is known for his no-nonsense approach, his willingness to hold players accountable, and his expectation that every player gives their absolute maximum effort. He won't hesitate to give a player a dressing down if he feels they aren't putting in the work. This tough love approach could be exactly what a player like Lysel needs to finally harness his immense talent and become a more well-rounded professional. So, what would it truly mean for Toronto to acquire a former first-round pick like Lysel? There's an undeniable allure to adding a 22-year-old with his pedigree and raw skill, especially one who is Swedish, a nationality that has often found success within the Maple Leafs organization. However, the prestige of being a first-round pick often overshadows the immense amount of work required to maximize that potential. If the concerns about Lysel's consistency are genuine, then he would need to be incredibly receptive to constructive criticism, willing to improve in all necessary areas, and perhaps add a much-needed layer of physicality to his game. This isn't a plug-and-play solution. It's a long-term project, essentially. Lysel would step into the role previously occupied by Robertson, the high-potential prospect who needs significant development and refinement. The question then becomes, is it worth losing Robertson, who has at least shown flashes at the NHL level, for the remote possibility that Lysel truly blossoms into a game-changing player? The allure of a former first-round pick, the promise of a future star, is a powerful motivator for many teams to make such investments. But as we've seen countless times in the NHL, the excitement surrounding potential often proves to be far more thrilling than the actual, tangible results. It's a high-risk, high-reward proposition, one that speaks to the Leafs' ongoing search for that elusive piece of the puzzle. What do you think, Leafs Nation? Is Fabian Lysel the kind of project the Maple Leafs should be taking on? Especially if it means parting ways with Nick Robertson? Could Craig Berube be the coach who finally unlocks Lysel's full potential? Or is this just another roll of the dice in the endless pursuit of what if? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this discussion insightful, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the world of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Your support helps us keep the conversation going.